Hey everyone, my name is Blakely Young, and this is my final presentation for success tips for beginning educators. So, my success tips are 1. Build strong relationships with students and coworkers. 2. Set clear expectations and routines. 3. Lead by example. 4. Set boundaries to avoid burnout. And 5. Use engaging teaching strategies. Theories. So the first theory that I chose to touch up on was behaviorism. Behaviorism is when you use positive or negative reinforcement when necessary. So like a positive reinforcement would be like praise, an incentive, some type of reward that makes students want to perform a desired behavior. A negative reinforcement would be like taking away privileges, timeout, just, anything like that, like taking away privileges. And then next is social constructivism, and this is learning through interaction with others. So like small group discussions, group work, anything like that. And I will say I observed social constructivism a lot throughout the semester whenever we would do our Hegarty meetings. I noticed that like if one student in the class was actively participating in like the hand movements and, splitting up words, segmenting, rhyming words, just being very active and participating with that, then it really encouraged all of the other students to interact as well. And then the third one is multiple intelligences. So this is when you offer varied activities for students with different learning styles. So for example, you could have a student who learns better visually, or you could have a student who learns better auditory. And this would be like if a student is proven to learn better visually, then you could help them with like demonstrations, graphic organizers, things like that. And then auditory, just, help guide the student through your words, help get to the conclusion, and like just walk them through it by talking to them. So to continue on tip number 1, build strong relationships with students and coworkers, I have having an inviting and positive attitude can help build bonds between teachers and their students. Collaboration with coworkers is crucial, so it's important to be social and reliable. And I will say I noticed a lot of collaboration between coworkers in my field placement. So I was placed in pre-K at Temple Elementary, and they only had 2 pre-K classes. So the 2 pre-K classes, their teachers worked very close-knit together, and they collaborated on all activities, lesson plans, revisements, everything like that. And then also, building connections with coworkers can make your work environment more enjoyable. And this is something that I noticed as well. I always noticed that the teachers, or my coordinating teacher, definitely got along with like all of her coworkers, but I noticed it within the entire school system as well. Being open-minded and considerate when learning about students' backgrounds is very important with building strong relationships, because all students come from different backgrounds and different life experiences, different cultures. So it's just important to recognize that every student is coming from different, backgrounds and different lives. And then provide a comfortable environment for your students and coworkers by building relationships with them. If you're just going into the school system and sticking to just you, then you kind of are giving off the wrong impression that you're not a team player. So it's really important to be social and make those connections with the students and your coworkers. Tip number 2, set clear expectations and routines. Students know what to do when you set clear expectations and routines, so they know exactly how to start class, turn in work, move through centers, line up, just, go throughout the day. They know exactly what to do and what is expected of them. So, like, for example, my class, every student, whenever they would show up to school, they would move their name from the home side to the school side. And then they knew to sit down, start tracing their name, and as soon as they got done with tracing their name, they were allowed to play with Play-Doh. So every morning, this is what I witnessed students do, and it was very clear, the expectations that they had, and because of that expectation, it became a routine. And then transitions also become a lot smoother when you set routines and expectations. So, like, moving from one activity to another can take less time, or it's just less chaotic because the students know the steps that they need to move forward to get to that final step. And then setting clear expectations also helps you teach more effectively, because with routines, you're able to teach the lessons more smoothly. You can focus on instruction instead of like constantly having to manage the classroom and like redirect attention to yourself or the lesson. Tip number 3, lead by example. If you're a teacher and you're coming into the classroom and you're showing characteristics such as patience, kindness, or responsibility, your students are a lot more likely to mirror that behavior. And that's something that you really should take pride in, honestly. Like, if you're coming into a classroom and you're showcasing a positive attitude and your students are doing that as well, then you're doing what you're meant to be doing. And then building trust and respect, you can build on that by leading by example. Students are more willing to follow a teacher who practices what they teach. Students learn social and emotional skills as well, so they won't only know how to teach authority figures, but they'll also know how to treat their friends, their peers, and make connections and just, improve more socially. Tip number 4, set boundaries to avoid burnout. So, setting limits helps you avoid feeling exhausted, overwhelmed, or constantly stressed. Whenever you set boundaries, you are able to be more present and patient because you can handle challenges more calmly and respond to students with patience. Whenever you're stressed out, it's important to just, take a second to calm down before you react to a situation that really isn't that significant. And then maintaining a healthy home work life is also really important whenever you set boundaries, because you can go into work and just work actively and proactively at completing everything that you need to for the day at work. So then whenever you go home, you can recharge and reset for the next day. Tip number 5, use engaging strategies. So interactive activities like discussions or hands-on learning activities keep students interested and reduce off-task behavior. Students are more excited to learn when lessons feel fun, relevant, or differentiated. So, whenever you are presenting an activity to your students that is really engaging to them and is pulling their attention, they're more likely to have increased motivation to complete the activity, and it also increases their work drive and the final product as well. Engaging strategies also allow for visuals, movement, collaboration, and creativity. So this can also mean to, vary your activities so that it can meet the needs of all learners, because not every student who comes into your classroom is going to be on the same level or, be good at one set of standards and then not good at the other. You just have to make sure that you are using strategies to help all. Teaching strategies that I chose were hands-on learning, like manipulatives, modeling, or demonstrations. Whenever you are presenting hands-on learning to your students, they retain the information a lot more, and it's something that they just won't forget. And then give direct and clear instructions. So whenever you give direct and clear instructions, it just gives direct and clear outcomes, I think, in my opinion. If you're very clear and making the steps out, step by step, and students can follow that, then they're going to do that most of the time. Give informational assessments, like ticket out the door. So it's always important as a teacher to make sure that what you're teaching is being retained by the students and that they're actively, increasing their learning. So you want to make sure that you are, assessing what the student learns at the end of the day after lessons to see who needs more help and who doesn't. And then you can also connect learning to real life scenarios. And I found whenever you present this strategy to students, they take the lesson or the activity a lot more seriously. Like, for example, if you're talking about math and you're like, hey, you need to know how to count money because this is what you do in the real world. Like, someone could steal from you or someone could charge you more than what you owed, then it becomes a lot more significant for them to know how to do. Meaningful technology. So since I am in pre-K, the only technology we really use is our smartboard. We'll use smartboard every morning for our morning meeting. So on the board we'll do like months of the year, days of the week, things like that. And then we'll also use our smartboard for our movement, and we'll do like Danny Go or Zumba, just anything to get the kids moving and get some energy out. My summary is, in my experience, I have learned that it is mindful to adapt to different students' needs because everyone is different and learns in their own way. So some students may need extra help and some students may not need help at all. So it's just good to assess that and know off the top of your head who could, who needs an extra hand in an assignment and who is better off, working independently. And then I also will say language barriers can be a challenge. In my field experience, I had a bilingual learner, and it was very hard to communicate with him at times, but you just have to make sure that you are just trying your best, that's all that you really can do, just try your best and try to make sure that information is getting given to them the best way that you know how to. I've learned that patience is an aspect in teaching that's prevalent and very important. I have dealt with students during this semester who have severe behavioral issues, and I found that patience is something that is absolutely needed in the teaching profession. If you don't have patience, then you need to find it very soon. Communication is also really important, whether that be with parents or like administration or even students. Just making sure that your expectations are being clearly drawn out and that communicating with parents about their child is being had so that we can help support your child together, And then even with administration, like if you're having problems, let administration know so that they can help out in the best way that they know how. Reflection and growth is important to take into account as well, because there's always room for improvement. And I noticed that a lot throughout the semester. There's always days where I leave and I'm like, oh, I could have done this better or I could have done that better. So just, analyze things that you do and then think on ways that you could improve or make your lesson or interaction just a little bit better or just improved. And then my encouragement, I encourage all future educators to consider my 5 success tips. So these tips from my experiences should help guide you as a beginning educator. Building strong relationships creates trust and connection, which every classroom needs. Setting clear expectations and routines helps students feel secure and know what to do. Leading by example shows professionalism and sets the tone for how students should act. Setting boundaries is also essential so teachers can protect their well-being. Finally, using engaging teaching strategies helps keep students motivated and makes learning meaningful. I believe that these tips capture a strong foundation for teaching. So the resources that I used was the Educational Psychology textbook, and that is all. Thank you all for listening.